Brilliant Strategies in the Roman-Germanic Wars. Chapter 1: The Clash of Civilizations. The Roman Empire was the epitome of military precision and discipline. Its legions, trained in the art of battle and organized in a way that allowed for great tactical flexibility, had conquered vast regions from the British Isles to the deserts of Egypt. The Germans, on the other hand, were known for their fierce independence, warrior culture, and decentralized tribal societies. Unlike the Romans, who valued organization, the Germanic tribes were experts in guerrilla warfare, using their knowledge of the terrain and the element of surprise to outmaneuver the Romans. The Roman-Germanic Wars were a conflict between two very different approaches to warfare: the disciplined and organized Roman army, which favored large-scale, structured combat, and the agile, mobile, and unpredictable Germanic tribes, who relied on speed, surprise, and intimate knowledge of their land. It was a battle of brilliant strategies on both sides, where the Romans would learn harsh lessons and the Germanic tribes would show that even the might of Rome could be resisted. Chapter 2: The Roman Strategy, Control, and Discipline. Rome's strategy in warfare was based on discipline, organization, and the efficient use of resources. The Roman legions, each made up of highly trained soldiers, were divided into units that could be deployed in various formations, allowing for flexibility on the battlefield. One of Rome's primary tactics was to create fortifications and secure its borders with a series of well-placed military outposts. The Roman army would then secure the area and use its superior road system to maintain communication and logistics. Rome's greatest advantage, however, was its ability to maintain order in battle. Roman soldiers, who fought in tight formations like the testudo, tortoise formation, had a superior defensive capability. They were also adept at adapting their tactics to different types of warfare. On open fields, the Roman army could deploy its legions in battle lines, with archers and cavalry supporting infantry. In siege warfare, the Romans had expert engineers who could build complex siege engines to break enemy defenses. Roman commanders relied on speed, precision, and overwhelming force. However, when it came to confronting the Germanic tribes, this strategy would prove to be both a strength and a weakness. While the Romans had superior training and equipment, they often underestimated the adaptability and resourcefulness of their Germanic enemies. Chapter 3: Arminius's Strategic Genius. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest. The brilliance of the Germanic tribe's strategy is most clearly seen in the Battle of Teutoburg Forest in 9 CE. Arminius, a chieftain of the Cherusei tribe, had been raised in Rome and served in the Roman military, giving him a deep understanding of Roman tactics. His knowledge of Roman strengths and weaknesses would allow him to devise a brilliant strategy that would forever alter the course of Roman expansion. Arminius's strategy was based on his understanding of Roman military behavior. He knew that the Roman legions relied on their formations and discipline, and that the Romans were unprepared for the unconventional tactics that the Germanic tribes could bring to bear. By using guerrilla warfare in the dense forests of Germania, Arminius was able to exploit the Romans' lack of knowledge of the terrain. Arminius's plan was to lure the Roman legions into the Teutoburg forest, where the dense trees and uneven ground would prevent them from using their familiar battle formations. When General Publius Quinctilius Varus, who was leading 3 Roman legions, marched into the forest, he was unaware of the trap that was being set for him. As the Romans marched, Arminius's coalition of Germanic warriors attacked from all sides, using the forest to conceal their movements. The Romans, who had expected a straightforward battle, found themselves surrounded and unable to defend effectively. The ambush was relentless, and the Roman legions were overwhelmed. The Germans attacked with lightning speed, retreating into the woods after each strike, and the Romans could not regroup. In a few days, over 20,000 Roman soldiers were killed, and the legions were completely destroyed. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest was a tactical masterpiece. Arminius used the terrain to his advantage, luring the Romans into a position where their military discipline could not protect them. The Romans were defeated not by sheer numbers or strength, but by their inability to adapt to a type of warfare that was foreign to them. It was one of the most devastating defeats in Roman history and one of the most brilliant examples of strategy in the ancient world. Chapter 4: Roman Retaliation, the Campaigns of Germanicus. In the aftermath of Teutoburg Forest, Rome's response was swift. Emperor Tiberius sent his stepson, Germanicus, to avenge the lost legions and restore Roman honor. Germanicus, a capable and charismatic general, was tasked with leading a series of punitive campaigns into Germania to recapture the lost Roman standards and punish the Germanic tribes for their defiance. Germanicus's strategy focused on rebuilding Roman morale and striking back at the Germanic tribes with precision. His military genius lay in his ability to recover from a devastating loss and maintain Roman cohesion despite the psychological blow. His campaigns between 14 CE and 16 CE were marked by decisive battles and effective use of Roman logistics, and he won several key victories. Germanicus's key tactic was to strike at the heart of the Germanic tribes with swift and forceful raids. He targeted the remnants of Arminius's coalition, using his superior numbers to destroy Germanic settlements and retake Roman standards. He even won a victory at the Battle of Itus Diviso in 16 CE, where he crushed Arminius's forces and recovered a portion of the lost Roman eagles. Despite his tactical successes, Germanicus was unable to break the Germanic resistance. Arminius's coalition, though temporarily weakened, remained a force to be reckoned with. The Germanic tribes continued to fight, and the difficulties of maintaining a Roman presence in the dense forests and hostile environment of Germania proved too great. Germanicus, despite his successes, was unable to decisively subdue the Germanic tribes, and in 17 CE, he was recalled to Rome. Germanicus's campaigns demonstrated the Roman ability to recover from setbacks and employ strategic precision, but it also exposed the limitations of Roman power in Germania. The forested terrain, the guerrilla tactics of the Germanic tribes, and the inability to maintain a long-term presence in the region all contributed to the ultimate failure of Rome's efforts to conquer Germania. Chapter 5: The Germanic Advantage, Unconventional Warfare. Chapter 5: The Germanic Advantage, Unconventional Warfare. While the Romans employed traditional strategies focused on discipline and organization, the Germanic tribes relied on unconventional tactics that capitalized on their knowledge of the land. Unlike the Romans, who fought in large formations, the Germanic warriors preferred smaller, more flexible units that could strike quickly and retreat before the Romans could respond. Arminius's strategy in Teutoburg Forest was not just a demonstration of battlefield brilliance, but also a perfect example of how the Germanic tribes exploited their environment. The Germans understood that the forest itself was a weapon. Its thick cover provided an opportunity for surprise attacks and ambushes, making it difficult for the Roman legions to operate with their usual effectiveness. Arminius's ability to unite the tribes, despite their internal rivalries, was also a testament to his strategic genius. The Germans used the terrain and their knowledge of it to keep the Romans off balance. The Romans, accustomed to fighting in open spaces, found themselves at a disadvantage when fighting in the dense forests of Germania. The Germanic warriors moved like shadows through the trees, using their speed and agility to strike and disappear before the Romans could regroup. The Germanic tribes also used psychological warfare to their advantage. They knew that the Romans were not just fighting for territory but for pride. By defeating Rome on their own terms, the Germanic warriors dealt a crushing blow to Roman morale. The Romans, who had never been defeated on such a scale, struggled to reconcile the reality of their vulnerability. Chapter 6: The Legacy of the Roman-Germanic War. The Roman-Germanic Wars were not just a series of military campaigns. They were a battle of ideas, strategies, and cultures. The Romans, with their well-drilled legions and disciplined strategies, fought for conquest and expansion. The Germanic tribes, with their knowledge of the land and their decentralized structures, fought for survival and independence. The war between Rome and the Germanic tribes would shape the future of Europe and contribute to the eventual decline of the Western Roman Empire. The brilliance of Arminius's strategy at Teutoburg Forest and the enduring resistance of the Germanic tribes demonstrated that even the might of Rome could be challenged. The Romans were forced to retreat, and the Rhine River became the permanent boundary of the empire. The battle for Germania would not be won by strength alone, but by the intelligence, resourcefulness, and strategic minds of the Germanic warriors. The war between Rome and the Germanic tribes remains one of the most fascinating examples of military strategy in history. The Romans learned valuable lessons from their defeat, while the Germanic tribes proved that they could resist the greatest empire the world had ever known. The story of these brilliant strategies would echo for centuries to come, influencing the course of European history and shaping the legacy of both Rome and Germania.